The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Free Kicks. So, Adam, we like to start the show off with a song, and this is a song that goes back to 1975. All right, wow. We're trying to guess which Premier League club uses this as walk-in music. And I think you're not going to have a hard time with this one. I'm not going to tell you the name of the artist or the name of the song because it'll give it away. Ready?
Okay.
Here goes. Okay, I think you know it, right?
I think so. Sorry, I wasn't singing the bubbles. I was coughing up bubbles there as it was going
Yes,
through.
okay.
So I apologize for that, everybody.
Yeah.
I think I got a clue. I didn't realize how jacked up it was at the beginning there. I thought it was going into something a little crazy there for a second. But it has to be West Ham United. I'm forever blowing bubbles. They're dreaming of winning something.
They'll keep dreaming. Yes,
Exactly.
That's right. And that is the West Ham Cup squad from 1975 singing that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder if that's what they actually play at the game. Probably not.
Probably not. Probably not. But I bet you every West Ham fan has the 45 of that at their house somewhere. And 45 kids. You know what? Forget it. It's time for Free Kicks.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Free Kicks. Free Kicks with Illinois Youth Soccer Association's Director of Coaching, Adam Howarth, and Rick Kemper.
So much to talk about this week. All right, we have two big tournaments going on. The games are not going to be this week, but we know what the games are going to be. So let's talk about what they are. Let's start with the Champions League. We're down to the final 8. The games begin on April 8th. The matchups are known now. And when you get to this point, you're talking about the best against the best. There's no such thing as an easy matchup, even though teams like Liverpool have been knocked out. We're talking about a pretty. And by the way, how about Atletico Madrid? That team was also quite good. They almost beat Real Madrid. But here are the teams that are left: Bayern versus Inter. We got Barcelona versus Dortmund. Arsenal versus Real Madrid, and PSG versus Aston Villa. So you got two English teams left, but boy, do they have tough assignments.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult. I mean, Arsenal, Real Madrid, what a game that's going to be. And then Aston Villa against PSG that knocked out your team. So, yeah, it's not going to be easy. I mean, it's not going to be easy. There's a chance that, big picture, when we think of the European picture, English teams could win all 3 tournaments that are left, but this might be the toughest stretch of all of them.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. Well, let's go through them one by one. Bayern versus Inter. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen as much of Inter. I just don't watch as much Italian football as possible as I probably should. Right. But when you think of Bayern Munich, they're always perennially in the quarterfinals. The last year or so has been maybe a little bit up and down. You probably know more than I, but I can't see them not going. Especially, it seems like they kind of got their groove back a little bit.
Yeah, they're back on top in the Bundesliga.
Exactly. So they kind of found the winning ways again. So they've obviously gone through it. Got a new manager, the former Burnley manager in Vincent Kompany, who's kind of taken them to this new level. and you got a goal scorer in Harry Kane that can obviously find ways to score goals. So I would take Bayern in that game over Inter. But then again, I'd probably have to do a bit more research on Inter in terms of where they're at, where they're coming from. Obviously, they've had a decent season, but I can't see anybody beating Bayern.
I can't either. And wouldn't it be great for Harry Kane to finally get his trophy? I mean, the man is done it all except for win anything. So it'd be nice.
I totally agree with you. I think he's so deserving of winning something. Right. If there's a player that's more worthy of winning something, absolutely, he would be the guy.
All right, the next one is Barcelona versus Dortmund, and to me, this is the least interesting of the matchups. And I'll tell you why. Dortmund, I think, right now is in like 11th place or something like that. I don't know how they even made it in the final. And Barcelona is a juggernaut.
I agree. I find this is the most amazing part of it is that we've mentioned this before. Barcelona being coached by the former German manager are playing fantastic. Exactly. They're fantastic. They're playing great. And like you said, Dortmund overachieving. This is really all they have left in terms of any type of success this year. They've been to finals, but you never think they're ever going to win. Right? It's always they're always that type of a team.
Weren't they in the final last year? Or was it the semifinal? I think
a couple of years ago. I think they were in a couple of years ago, and then obviously they were in London a few years ago when they played Bayern in the final. Right. Yeah, it was. But I just never see them winning. No. Right. So, and this year, again, this has been a bad year for them from a league standpoint. So. Yeah, it's Barcelona all the way for this one.
Agreed. All right, Arsenal and Real Madrid.
Wow.
I watched that Madrid team, and, they're not unbeatable.
Right.
But they're pretty close.
Yeah, they're just, again, this is their competition. They own it. There's no question about it. I feel bad that Arsenal's got to play him at this time. And Arsenal's been playing well, but again, a little inconsistent. They still don't have a clear striker that can put the ball in the back of the net.
Right.
Whereas Real Madrid have three pretty good players. Three pretty good strikers. So that's the difference I think it's going to be there. I think Arsenal may get a goal, but it's just a question of can their very strong defense, and there's no question Arsenal has a strong defense. Can they hold off Real Madrid? Can they hold Mbappe? And can they limit him? If they can do that, they got themselves a chance.
Yeah, that's true.
If they don't, it's Real Madrid all the way. Yeah.
And Arsenal playing without Saka, playing without Kai Havertz. A couple of big losses up front for them.
Yeah, exactly. And who knows? And we'll probably there's a chance some of these players might come back, but it's very slim in terms of where they're at from an injury standpoint. So.
Right. Even if they come back, they're not going to be. No one just after a long injury layoff comes right back and is the same.
Exactly right. They're going to be bit part players. There's no question.
All right, and then the last one, PSG versus Aston Villa. Both of these clubs, you have to say, have been pretty impressive during this tournament.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, the positive thing about Aston Villa, more so than Arsenal, is that they've got a manager that's won European competitions. He's won things before, right? So, and ironically, he was also the former manager of PSG.
Yeah, that's right.
And so that's going to probably give him a slight incentive. I could see a slight surprise here if there's something here. Because I think PSG they're playing fantastically well. Mbele is the man on the team, was the best player in the previous game against Liverpool. I just have a good feeling about Villa. They might squeak something, and I put that down solely because of their manager, because he finds a way to win games in European competitions, and he's got that added incentive that he got kind of let go by PSG. So he's probably thinking, yeah, we can do this. So we'll see. So,
all right. So you're picking Villa.
I'm going to pick Villa. I think they can do it. I mean, I think it's there. I mean, there's no question PSG overwhelmed Liverpool in terms of I think that was a huge surprise. We was all expecting Liverpool to win that. And so maybe there might be a little bit of a fall off in terms of now they're thinking, it's just Aston Villa. And I think that's where Aston Villa might get them. So we'll see.
All right. The other big tournament going on is down to Final 8 is the FA Cup. Now, that's not going to play this weekend, but it is going to play next weekend. And since we're going to be off next week, I thought we should talk about what's coming up here. This is who is left. Excuse me. We've got Fulham versus Crystal Palace, Brighton versus Nottingham Forest, Preston versus Aston Villa, and Bournemouth versus Manchester City. Now, are these home and home games, or are they just
these are just one-off games. Yeah, so they'll go to extra time and then penalty kicks. That's typically what will happen. VAR is going to be in effect, so they will have VAR for these games as well.
So big advantage to the home team in all of these games. So let's go through them one by one. Fulham is at home against Crystal Palace. That's a good matchup.
It's a great matchup. It's a Premier League middle of the table kind of matchup. I could go either way, to be fair. I mean, it's a tough one to pick. I think Fulham's probably got a little bit of form in terms of where they're at, and they're just slightly ahead of Crystal Palace in the table. Had a good win on the weekend, so I probably Fulham, because they're at home, probably has a little bit of an advantage. But I could go either way.
I agree. And then Brighton is playing Nottingham Forest, which is also a great matchup.
Really good game, exactly. Both
Brighton.
Teams again at Brighton. Both of them are overachieving. This could be a big one. There's no question about that. Nottingham Forest, what a great season they're having. It's looking more and more. We keep on thinking they're going to drop off, but they're not. They're not dropping off in the league. And Brighton is ever improving. They're only a couple of points away from Champions League spot. Another pick-up. I mean, either way. I mean, I'm probably going to go with the home team again. Maybe Brighton.
Okay, then there is one team left from the championship, and that's Preston. And they are playing Aston Villa.
Yeah.
So Villa's still alive in both of these tournaments.
Yeah, great for Villa. They've done really well in the cup competitions, probably a little bit down in the league, although they're still within breathing distance there. This is Preston overachieved by beating Burnley in the previous round. My fellow workmate, big Burnley fan, was very upset about that. But one of those things. But Villa, it's all the way Villa. Easy win for them, even though Preston's at home. Yeah.
And then the final one, this is another great matchup, Bournemouth versus Manchester City. And that's at Bournemouth.
Yeah, you couldn't have picked any more even games in terms of these three Premiership contests. I would probably give this to Man City just because this is all they've got to play for now. I think that's they're the only thing they got left. So to get a trophy, I think that's going to be good. Now, again, it is at Bournemouth, and they're very good at home. But they did just lose, so I'm gonna go with a Man City away win on that one.
Okay. You know what I love about this, other than Man City, of these final 8, they're not your usual trophy winners.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's no Liverpool, there's no Arsenal, there's no Manchester United, there's no Chelsea. You know what I mean? These are the teams. One of these teams is going to get a cup, and so I'm rooting for Man City not to get it because they've got enough.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a fair statement. I think they'll win this game, and I think they may end up losing the semi-final, or depending on what happens in the other games. But I would agree. I would love to see a Fulham win it, or a Forest, or a Brighton, maybe a Palace. Yeah, I think any of those, maybe even Bournemouth, upset Man City. You never know. But yeah, I think it'd be great for the league if one of those teams wins it for sure.
Okay, now I'm taking your advice more seriously these days because of the Carabao Cup, which
yeah, of course.
You made a bold prediction last week. You said that Liverpool was going to lose, and you were right. You were right.
Yep. And what can I say? Can you say it again? I am right. Absolutely.
Yeah, it hurts me physically to say it, but it's true. Liverpool seems to have kind of run out of gas.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, fortunately for Liverpool, they've got so much gas in the car that they're not going to be able to stop. The league is theirs. There's no question in my mind that they're not going to win the league. But yeah, that was a shocker. But to be fair, Newcastle played their hearts out. It was as if they had to win. It was like and my goodness, they played so well. It was such a great game. So happy for the Newcastle fans, especially because they hadn't won anything in 1,000 years, like I mentioned. And this was great for them because of what they did. But arguably, again, and it was interesting, I was listening to some commentators trying to put it in perspective. Like, it's just the Carabao Cup. We get it.
I know. I know.
But for still. Newcastle, this meant everything because they hadn't won anything. So I'm certainly happy for them. And I think that Monday afterwards, there wasn't too many people going to work. That's for sure.
Well, I'm a Liverpool supporter, but I was actually happy for the Newcastle fans. You could just the joy in their faces. It really was great. First cup that they've won in 56 years. First Amazing. Domestic cup in 70 years.
Amazing.
And as a Chicago Cubs fan, baseball here in America, I know what that feels like.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I think it's a really good comparison to the Cubs winning. It really is. It's exactly the same type of thing. So, yeah. By the way, this is a side note.
Yeah.
Why the heck are the Cubs playing in Japan? How does that work out?
I don't know.
That's just the dumbest thing. Could you imagine the uproar? And I know they've tried to move games to the United States as well, but you just lost home games, right?
Yeah.
Does your season? I mean, that's the problem, right? You lost
season
the game.
Tickets.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure your season tickets didn't go down in price.
They did not. No, I know.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not as big an uproar. I'm shocked about that.
Well, they're already 0-2, which is just fantastic.
Yes.
And no one else has even played yet. All right, so let's get back to soccer/football. This is the time of the show where I give you the weird stat of the week, and this is going to be about this Newcastle victory because the last domestic trophy was the 1955 FA Cup win over Manchester City. And I wanted to give you some perspective of how long ago that was. All right.
Okay.
There are three big soccer stars that were born that year. Okay. People that everybody knows. All right. Italian star Bruno Conti, born in 1955. French star Michel Platini, born in 1955. German star Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, born in 1955. They're all 70 years old.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
There are people that in Newcastle that were born, lived an entire life, and died since the last domestic cup win. So congratulations to them. And here's the other weird one, all right? Because I was curious, what was the number one song in the UK the year that they won it last? It was by Slim Whitman. The song was called Rosemary. It was number one on the charts for 11 weeks, and I'm going to play you about 30 seconds of it just so you hear how much has happened since the last time a team from Newcastle won a cup. Here we go. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Number one, baby.
I don't know what to say on that one.
Yeah.
I really don't.
All right. So, Free Kicks is brought to you by the Illinois Youth Soccer Association.
Illinois Youth Soccer has been proudly serving the Illinois soccer community since 1975 and has a strong history of credibility. Illinois Youth Soccer is a non-profit corporation, official state association and charter member of the U.S. Soccer Federation, administers U.S. Soccer Federation coaching programs, and administers U.S. Soccer Federation Olympic Development Program, and most importantly, administers U.S. Soccer Federation referee programs. For more information, go to illinoisyouthsoccer.org. And I do have one thing about the referee programs, if that's okay. We could talk about it.
Wait a sec.
And now, the latest Chicago area soccer news. Soccer news with Coach Adam. Coach Adam.
Now.
Brilliant.
Yes.
There you go. Perfect. So yesterday we had our Coaches Connection meeting, which was great. And our guest speaker, super guy, Pedro Trejo, who used to work with U.S. Soccer, is now the senior youth referee administrator. So basically he kind of works with all of our younger referees as a mentor, as a coach, and all different types of things. I just want to make sure I give him a shout out because he did a tremendous presentation yesterday on the new referee verbal abuse policy. I don't know if you've seen that at all. Have you seen any of this?
So is this a problem? No, I didn't realize that.
Yes. So physical and verbal abuse. But what was interesting about it was there's some now serious connotations to things that can be said. So I don't want to scare people off and just say, oh, my goodness, if I complain to the referee, am I going to get a red card? Nothing changes there. What it basically does is it just really kind of outlines specifically if it gets to kind of hate speech and the vulgar and pushing and shoving of people and all those types of things just to protect the referees. That's what it's there for. It's there to kind of say, look, if you're going to do this, you're going to miss a whole bunch of games. And you could actually even get suspended for the rest of your time as a coach, parent, whatever it may be. So being conscious of that, I just want to give Pedro a shout out. He is an extremely smart, knowledgeable guy and one of the most favorite referees I've ever met. So there you go. So I like referees.
Every year, the referees have their annual meeting at Green White Soccer Club, and I host it. And so I've kind of gotten to know these guys.
Yeah.
And they are a great bunch of guys and gals. I mean, I always felt like the referees, it's just such a thankless job.
Yeah, of course.
And they managed to do it with a pretty positive attitude. And, you know, when you hear them talking amongst each other and they talk about the things that they go through, it's jaw-dropping. Some of the stuff that they see and some of the stuff that they hear. So people behave yourselves, for crying out loud.
Exactly. And what I liked about it, especially in terms of Pedro and what he was talking about, was this is a collaborative effort here. It's not just about the referee again and the coach. It's referees, it's players, it's parents, it's coaches, it's everybody working together. And so that was what was really, for me, was probably the best part of it, is that having a referee talk to coaches and administrators and talking about how we can work together to make this better. So I've already spoken to him about talking to the referees about certain things, so which is great. So if we're all on the same page, life's going to be a lot better. There's no question about it.
Right. But it's still going to be hard to stop it, but you know, it should just be a general accepted position that this is a bad thing to do.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And
if you don't have, and I was going to say, if you don't have your referee license, go do it, because I did it, and it's the best thing I've ever done. So makes me a better coach for it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Time for another feature.
Time now to guess the Premier League star.
Okay, so this week's Premier League star is, I think, pretty clearly a star. He's 25 years old. And, you know, he's a striker. So the strikers are the guys that get all the attention. Mm-hmm. His team is in the hunt for Europe this season. That's all I'll say. They're in the hunt. for Europe, not for the league title. All right, so that eliminates 19 teams.
Fair enough.
His parents were Ethiopian, but he was born in Europe, and he plays for a European national team, but it's not England.
Interesting.
I'll tell you that he's in his 5th country that he's playing professionally, and he's only 25. He has played professionally in Germany, in Sweden, in Holland, and Spain.
Yikes.
He wears number 14.
Where's number 14?
He has 23 goals this year in 33 matches. So, in all competitions. So, he's one of the top scorers in the league.
Yeah, sounds like it. I mean, that's the thing. I'm trying to think of who he would be. I'm trying to think of top scorers. Obviously, Erling Haaland comes straight to mind when I think about goals being scored. Cole Palmer was up there, although he's kind of gone off the boil. I'm trying to think. I mean, is he playing with Brentford?
No. Nope.
No.
He also does not work at Foot Locker.
Oh, okay. So he's got to be wearing the black and white stripes of Newcastle.
Correct.
Okay. And he's been doing fairly well in terms of scoring goals.
I'd say 23 goals in 33 matches. Pretty good.
Did he score a goal in this past game?
He did.
Okay, so when they won it, and he was definitely one of the top players in the league, I would say, in terms of where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it has to be, got to be, Alexander Isak.
That is correct. From
you threw me off with
Sweden.
you threw me off with the Ethiopian and the 5 countries. I thought it was going to be obscure.
Yeah, no,
much more obscure.
I intentionally make the clues harder for the biggest stars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. First of all, I didn't realize he was that old. And secondly...
You thought he was younger than 25?
I thought he was like 22, something like that. Yeah, for sure. And then I'm shocked that he's played in so many countries.
Yeah.
That's what's amazing. I mean, he's been on loan, I think, at a few of them, I think.
Right, he was on loan. But, he played... he played for, big clubs, not...
Yeah. So, interesting.
All right.
Didn't know that.
It's time for another feature.
Now time for Adam's Weekend Soccer TV Tip.
Okay, so it's technically not a Premier League weekend. There are no Premier League games this weekend.
Yes, yeah. So it's a tough one. So I'm going to kind of do 2. One this weekend, and then one the following weekend.
Okay.
And the one this next weekend is because I'm going to the game.
Yes, tell everybody.
So fortunately, I'm in a very fortunate position to be able to go and travel as much as I do. So we're taking an ODP team to England this next week. Actually, this weekend we fly out, and we've got a fantastic schedule, my goodness. And one of our first things that we're going to do when we get in, and that's going to be on Monday the 24th, is we're heading to Wembley Stadium.
Wow.
We're going to be watching the game. It's a World Cup qualifier. Tommy Tuchel, his second game in charge. Hopefully he's already got a
good old Tommy Tuchel.
He's got his. We've got to love our German manager for the England. Yeah, for the German national coaching the England national team.
Right.
Still amazing to me, but it's great.
It's funny when I just yelled out Tomas. My son Tommy, who lives in the house here, just came into the room. What?
He's like, what did I do wrong? What do I need to do? Yeah, that's funny. But so England Latvia, that's going to be at Wembley Stadium. We'll be there. Looking forward to that game. And when I think about that day, people are going to get jealous. That day, we're going to go see Windsor Castle, just down the road from where I grew up. Going to visit Tottenham's brand new stadium that day during the afternoon, by the way, and then England-Latvia. Could you get a better day than that?
That's pretty great. But you've been to Wembley before, right?
Been to Wembley actually a couple of years ago when we took an ODP team. That was the first time I'd been to the new Wembley. Went to England versus Ukraine game. So I'm only disappointed that Cole Palmer, who's got injured, didn't play against Arsenal this past weekend. He's not playing, but. So that's I'm excited about that. We're also going to go to a championship game later on in the week. Stoke City versus QPR. So we'll go. That'll be fun. So we're looking forward to that. And then the following week is FA Cup. So we're going to be there for that weekend. Unfortunately, we're going to be at the Stoke City QPR game, which is a championship game, which still be a great game. But the other game I would definitely recommend people watching, I think it's going to be a good one. We talked about it already. Is Brighton versus Nottingham Forest. I mean, you've got two teams that are flying high, playing a really attractive way of football. I would definitely put that down. So that's going to be something you need to watch on ESPN Plus is the FA Cup. And then as for World Cup qualifiers, I think you find those mostly on ESPN as well. So, yeah, two good ones.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, Free Kicks is brought to you by Green White Soccer Club. I've got tryouts coming up for Green White. If you go to greenwhitesoccer.org, you'll see that they're, I believe, April 21st, April 22nd. Check out what time you need to arrive. You need to register in advance. There is no charge for registration. Teams that charge money to register, to try out, should be reported to the league, is my opinion. Like, what the heck are you doing there? But anyway, go to greenwhitesoccer.org for information. All right, so next week, we've decided we're not doing the show, right? Because you're going to be in England.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
But that means that we're going to get a chance to play my favorite jingle from across the pond the next time we get together. So,
Sure.
So, all right, so that's something to look forward to. That's worth tuning in just to hear that 8 seconds of genius.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to thank our executive producer, Tony Lasana with Opie Shows. Thank you, Tony. Thanks also to our distributor, Ed Silla with the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to another place, which is RadioMisfits.com. And we'll be back again in 2 weeks with another brand new episode of Free Kicks.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at RadioMisfits.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?